5:30 a.m. EST, and the market opens in about an hour. As the price has kind of just floated around for the last, I don't know, whatever it is, 12 or 10 hours or whenever everything opened up yesterday. I think that's actually going to be about 14, 15 hours. That's a pretty illiquid time. I mean, there is money to be made on a Sunday, certainly. If I were to jump into trading the Forex market that opens on Sunday, I would wait at least an hour or two, wait for liquidity to open up. You can usually tell when that starts to be okay because the spreads open up to, or they close down, spreads tighten up to about 1.5 pips or so. I generally don't trade Sunday. I had the thought to do it, and I think the only real signals I would have gotten would have been around 3 in the morning, which I certainly was not up at that time. I was dead asleep. I actually was a bit under the weather there. Let me see. This was I think Friday, Saturday. I had a cold that tried to catch me, and I gave it the stiff arm. So my wife's like, "Oh man, I kind of feel like I'm catching something." She goes, "Take all these," and she gave me a bunch of supplements and knocked it right out. So that's good. I didn't catch it. Didn't get down for the count. I had to stay away from all my kids for a few days, which is tough to do. Tough because I can't help the wife, and tough because I like my kids, man. I like holding them, especially the little brand new nugget. It's hard. I like holding them both, different reasons, and a similar reason. It's strange being a parent. Only been a parent for 21 months. Still figuring that out. Although I hear from people who have been parents for about 25 years, they're still figuring it out. So I guess I'm in the right crowd. Let me grab the link here for this YouTube. I'm going to throw it over onto our friendly Rogue Discord. And let me throw up a QR code for the moment while I'm doing that. Anybody who is new to this on YouTube, like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff. You make some comments, it helps us with the algos. And we'll go ahead and jump right into the content here. Let's see here. Okay, join us live. Okay. So you can see the QR code. You can see the website right on there, algofactory.tech. Go ahead and visit us that way, or zap that QR code if you want to come see how to find us, what we do. In the meantime, I'm going to throw up some charts, and we're just going to take a look at what's going on here. Yeah. All right. Let's do the screen share, and then I'll do the zoom in so people can actually read the. Oops, did not mean to do that. Oops. I'm going to do the zoom in here so people can see the numbers when the time comes. The first thing we'll look at is Bitcoin, because that's where a lot of the conversation was. I mean, there's, if you ask me, there's other things to look at, but really Bitcoin's been pretty wild, and a lot of people probably want to know what's going on with that. Being as I was kind of down for the count over the weekend, I may not have seen what there was to see over the weekend on price action. It looks like, we're still in the uptrend, if you will. At least short term we are, but things are also seem to be we're still on the uptrend, but we're up against resistance. So it's like price wants to move up, but then again, price is pushing through a resistance at this point. So at some point, generally, something breaks at that, in this kind of scenario. I hate when I click on things that I didn't mean to click. So let's just take a look. I mean, look, everything's bullish at this point, but it's in a way it's touch and go. It's real. Okay, so we went over this like last week. Are we starting the bull market a month early or so? It's possible. Most of the time, there is a dump after October, right? And then things kind of start to come up in November. There are not a whole lot of Bitcoin halvings to look back at. We don't have the ability to look back through 15 to, or 100 Bitcoin halvings to say, oh, well, this is how it works. Like there is room for something to be different this time, because we only have like 3 or 4 halvings that we can look at and say, oh, well, this is how things usually behave, right? So we don't really know how things usually behave. But in the past, things have had a dump in November. What I'm seeing here is very Bart headish. And this arrow that I painted down was during the show last week, and it could happen here, it could happen here, it could actually happen way over here after going up. A lot of things can happen. Okay. So bear that in mind. You know what I mean? There's no fixed way that things ever can happen in trading. And when you only have 3 sets of data to look at in the past, um, there's not a lot of data. You know, you can't just say, oh, well, this is how things usually go. And that's with trading and with building our algorithms, we go back through time and we look at like 100 or 200 examples of what we've been trying to do, right? And then when we do that, then we have a better idea. Like, okay, we've looked at this, scenario 200 times, and on average, um, you know, this is how it goes, right? And then we can use that data to forward test and, so on and so forth. When you only have 3 examples, it's not a lot. What I can tell you though, first of all, some good news on Kingfisher. They've shortened the wheel. You can go every hour to stack some credits. I think they max out your credits though. I don't think they let you get credits past a certain point, but at least if you're out of credits, you can do that. Kingfisher's worth actually buying the membership, and they don't pay me. There's not a promotion. That's just how it is. I mean, look, if you want to use the Kingfisher, I will put my referral link in there into the chat, but I'm not paid by them. It'll just be, that's just how that is. So, but there's the referral link. I'll copy it and throw it in the chat. So that way you can have that. But in the meantime, this is a great tool for liquidity. If you've been watching any of our live shows, you'll see that I use the Kingfisher quite often for liquidity. And the biggest bit of liquidity is sitting at 30,700. Okay. So that's where a lot of liquidity is sitting right now. And that's in comparison to the price right now, that makes a lot of sense because that's right before where things took off. Right. So 30,700 is right here. It's the last little miniature tiny structure shelf before this couple of God candles right here. So 30,700 is like right here. So let's go ahead and get rid of all this prior liquidity data because the liquidity landscape has changed as it always does. At the moment, 30,700. So it appears that people have taken off some of their trades. They may have taken off some shorts and kept the longs on. I'd have to look at the old liquidity profile to tell you for sure. But the next sizable liquidity is down at is way up at like 40,000. That's a long way to go up. But as things are happening right now, look, honestly, they could do whatever they want to do. And it might be that a bunch of moon boys are thinking, oh, well, I have my stop loss, I have my stop loss down at, 30,100. It's right below this little structure shelf. It's going to keep going up. Well, maybe price goes up, but maybe it dives down before it goes up, right? Maybe it grabs that liquidity, which is a pretty big piece, and then goes up to grab liquidity up here, and then goes all the way down to wherever it's going to go, right? So it's just, there's looking at the liquidity landscape. Generally, the way that this works is that the algos are going to favor a move. Right now, the algos are bullish, right? That's just how it is right now. And then once the price goes to liquidity in the direction of the algos, which my algos are bullish, maybe somebody else's are not, right? And the algos they're not foolproof either, algos are going to be correct a certain percent of the time, right? But as it stands right now, the algos are bullish. They're pretty strong, but they're encountering a resistance, like I said before. So they want to go up. They're like pointing up. Let me go out. Let me look at a higher time frame here. And then, the price will probably continue to go up as long as they're pointing up. It's pretty simple. Let's see, what am I on there? Oh, wow. Okay. I don't need to look that far out. Let's actually do this. Let's look at the calculated index, the trading view index. They get a lot more data this way. Yeah, so the super hunt time frame is not really telling us a lot, but the monthly, which is pretty darn high, that's crossing into bullish territory. I mean, so I mean, there's always that possibility that we are in the midst of the new bull starting. Price may never come back down. It is very, very possible, but typically what happens is price does dive back down. We already said that. We're just reiterating that. But to look at the map right now, look at the charts, look at the liquidity map. I mean, look at this move here. This is a little early in the 4-year cycle to expect the bull to start. So, is it going to go up and reach that for a little $40,000 nub of liquidity before heading down? Is it, is the price going to kind of pull like one of these? Where's my arrow? Is it going to pull one of these? Maybe, but I would be more, if it were to head up, again, I imagine it would dive down to 30,700 before doing so. And in the algos, if price does make enough of a strong move down, there is a chance that it will grab some liquidity down low before doing so, and then hang out down low. Now, this would be the thesis that I like, is that we kind of continue along the prior 4-year patterns. Price grabs liquidity that's sitting down in this area, which there is a fair amount of it, before it heads up. That's the thesis that I have liked so far. But what I like really is not important. What actually is going to happen is what matters. And there's, we use thesis to predict that, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. For the moment, my best short-term thesis right now is possibly a move up to 40,000, but at some point price heading back down to the low 30s. Now, what it does after that is going to be, who knows what, right? But I think it'll happen in a much shorter time frame than what I just showed on this chart. I think it might happen in the next couple weeks. But like I say, that's, we're going to find out. It's a real tough thing to do. With the algos pointing upwards right now, I would not be shorting. In fact, as one of my friends recently told me, he says, I don't short Bitcoin. Like, I get it. But Bitcoin punishes the shorts. And then it kind of rides the elevator up and jumps off the building. Most things with Bitcoin, or most assets, will take the stairs up like this, and then take the elevator down. Most assets that are, stocks and things like that, currency is a little bit different. But Bitcoin tends to ride the elevator up and then jump off the building. That's usually how that goes. So we are seeing, here in this bullish arena, a little different. We're seeing not exactly that, but over time, if you look in the past, that's kind of how that works. So, you got this elevator up for, however long it is. And then, I don't know. I mean, if you look in the higher time frame, it certainly takes its time headed down. But these moves down after the move up are very precipitous. The actual dump after the stair step up is pretty notable if you look at it that way. Your actual dumps. So you got we'll call this your elevator up, and then you're jumping off the building. And so are we seeing an elevator up in a short term? We're seeing a short-term elevator up. Next jump off the building. I don't know. It's a weird time. I can tell you that. It's also a weird time in the world, I hate, but the famous last words are, this time it's going to be different. But the problem with that is that, again, we don't have a lot of data going back to look at Bitcoin. We just don't. We can't say, well, the last 28 times or the last 128 times. We don't have that. It's just not there. So all I can really do is play it level by level, look at which way price is being favored by the algos. And as it stands now, I would guess that it's going to be a slower climb up and then a fall at some point. Gorilla's in the house. How you doing, bud?
Namaste.
Namaste.
Very good, my friend. Very good.
Bitcoin is just bullish, man. Algo wise, it's just pushing.
Where's it at now?
It's at 34.7. Look, the way just to recap, is that basically we have liquidity down at 30,700, a lot of it, and Bitcoin tends to move in unexpected ways. But usually it's kind of one of those things where, for the most part, Bitcoin is going to move, as most things do, with the algo, and then towards liquidity. And the only other liquidity I see in the upward direction is just a small bit of it, relatively small at 40,000. But this would be a move up that's extended past anything we've seen, and we're not in the bull market yet, unless we are. So
No, we're not in the bull market. This is FOMO. This is FUD. This is all of it together.
Well, and I just got done saying that my best thesis is maybe price is in this area for a bit and then heads down to that 30,000, and then once it heads down there, maybe even a rotation down into the 20s to kind of accumulate before the real bull happens. But here's the thing about it: that's based on a 4-year thesis, and the 4-year halving cycle has only existed like 3 times. We don't have a ton of data to go back on. The world is in a weird place, but what we do have is we can't say what we have on this, on this open to everybody YouTube. We have some data that we talked about last week. I think it was Friday, not Thursday, as to why we think this move up is not going to be sustained, but we can't talk about what that is here. Private members only. So I don't know how long this is going to last. I think a decent probability is that price will hang out, and this is on the weekly chart. So I'm going to roll down a little bit lower, just so we can illustrate this a little bit more handily. I think that the best kind of way that this might happen is, price hangs in this area for a period. Maybe fakes out, maybe doesn't. And then we'll see a move down. It might happen even later than this. This might take longer than what I just drew. But at some point, the liquidity landscape is going to change, right? If price really kind of starts to head down, what's going to happen is you'll see this liquidity in the 40 and 45. That'll actually build up a bit. But right now, there's just all this liquidity in the 20s, from 25 to like 32,000. That's a lot of liquidity, man. And the market makers got to be looking at that like, oh man, let's fool as many people as we can. Let's keep pushing the price up to get the moon boys to go long. And then we're going to just all of a sudden snap down and dive. And it'll probably happen when the ADX really, really drops. So if I were to, let me see, I think this is the right time frame for it. It might be this kind of daily. It might be the weekly. But once we see the volatility drop off, and a good way to tell is that this little Bart head starts to get real thin, these bars. Once these candles, I call them bars because that's old school, but once these candles start to get very small, like once they start to look like this, let me show you. And this is on the daily. It's either the daily or the weekly. And I'm going to go with daily. Once the candles look like that, little dojis, little small bodied candles, and I can guarantee you when I bring up ADX, it's going to be a down slope or a bottom out. Average directional index, ADI, sorry. Or is it ADX? I'm tripping. Average directional index, ADI plus. Yeah, it should be this one. Yeah, you see this slope down now, right there. So, yeah, once you have a drop in volatility, that's a good clue. Might have to look in a higher time frame or lower, but there's your clue. Look for those little tiny candles. Once you start to see it, price is going to do something. And you have like 5 or 6 even 2 in a row, but really you're looking for like 4 or 5 smaller candles in a row where price is kind of compressed, and it's just retail moving things around. It's retail and algos. It's algos providing the guardrails and retail buying and selling along those guardrails. That's what it's going to be, So we'll look for that. And when we look for that, what I'll do is I'll take a look at the liquidity landscape. I'll take a look at the algos, and we'll see if there is a way we can look at it. So that's that for Bitcoin. There's a long talk about Bitcoin, but I know it's what everybody wants to hear. So how was your weekend, Gorilla?
Weekend was good, man. I can't complain. A lot of family stuff, a lot of Halloween stuff.
I saw some news out of Kerala.
Yeah, what'd you hear?
It was not good.
The Porota Festival, the Biryani Festival is canceled.
Yeah, no, it was like it was imperialist down there. and they
Oh
were
God, really?
yeah. I wish I would have kept it and saved it, but I think I was like a lot was going on, and dude, I was down for the count. I slept like I'd say I slept about 20 some odd hours yesterday.
Dude, that's awesome. You need some sleep.
Well, I actually a cold tried to catch me, and it was
But
like
did it catch
Friday,
you?
and what's that?
It didn't catch you though, did it?
No, dude, my wife gave me a bunch of remember those supplements I told you about?
Yeah,
Like
andrographics.
Andrographis and a few others.
That stuff is good.
She told me she goes, "Here, this is a whole day's worth. Take it, and then you're gonna sweat it out." And so I took it before I went to bed, and I sweat it out like a fever. Next day I was pretty good, but I still kind of stayed away from the kids until today just to be sure. And sure enough, continuing to take the supplements, like I even sweated out a bit last night. So we'll kind of see how I feel. And, that's leaving my wife to handle both kids, which, I mean, that's not easy when you got a toddler and a 5-6 week old.
Yeah.
That's not easy at all. Especially my daughter, man, my infant, she's like very needy.
Oh my, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
well, I mean, my son wasn't so. My son was really chill. I mean, yeah, he was, like any baby. But the daughter, she has to be held. She cries, and they train soldiers to the sound of babies crying.
What do you mean?
It's so babies crying is one of the most stressful sounds that a human can hear.
Yes.
So to break soldiers and to
Mhm.
keep to add stress to like a military personnel situation in like boot camp and stuff, they train you to the sound of babies crying just to add stress to the scenario.
Oh, wow.
So to hear a child just wah 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 wah, dude, it breaks you down. And my poor wife, dude, she's just like, she's doing the best she can. And if I'm not there to help, we have an aunt and uncle who generally are here to help, not today and tomorrow, but usually almost every weekday. Long
Mhm.
story short, though, over the weekend, dude, she was it, bro. Like,
Hmm.
so I was just upstairs trying to stay away from the kids because, dude, the worst thing is when your kids get sick, and it's very
Oh, it is weird.
dangerous for an infant to get sick. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Our son got a cold at 3 months because we had some visitors over, and he caught a cold from that. And that's just why we're like telling people stay the fuck away. Like, excuse my
Mhm.
language, but you can come visit the kid after they're 6 months old. Like, because it was a nightmare, dude. I mean, look, 3 months is the cutoff. If your child gets sick before 3 months, it's actually really
Yeah.
dangerous. And he got a cold right at 6 months, and it was brutal because when they're eating, they breathe through their nose. He couldn't breathe through his nose. It was just brutal, bro. Anyway, so
Wow.
that's all my personal story and my family stuff for the entire world to hear. But dude, we spent a lot of time on Bitcoin this morning. So in
Oh,
the
good.
end, I'd say it's gonna happen. I think sooner or later, a move down, and it's just
Yeah.
these things with Bitcoin are funky. They happen without warning in a way. It's like going up, going up, going up, and then snap down. Like that
Oh,
can
sure.
happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen. And I didn't really, I thought it was going to happen this last cycle, this last top. I was expecting that snap down, that blow off top, they call it. Didn't happen. But so you can't always depend on anything all the time. And again, we only have 3 or 4 halvings to look back on to really, there's not a lot of data. So I do reserve that pretty much anything can happen, but we have data that's makes us relatively confident that we're going to see what we're going to see there. Let me take a quick look at the euro based on that signal. I have a small trade on. We have our breakout. I'm going to add to this trade. Give me a second. It is time for us to do the send off. So let me do this real quick, and I'll throw the QR code up there. You can do the send off, give everybody that gorilla love, and then we'll hop off to the private while I amend my trade.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, I want to thank all you guys for listening in. Follow us on algofactory.tech. It is the place. Now, not only do we teach you to trade, but more importantly, we teach you the algorithms to make you proficient and make you that much more deadly and profitable. Look, the world's in chaos. Learn to navigate the chaos, and we are the radar systems and the guidance systems for you to navigate what's coming. Algofactory.tech. Follow us over there. Cowboy, let's go.